This tutorial illustrates how to properly fill out a completion and workover daily report for HardingShelton wells. For illustrative purposes, I'll use the Holcomb 3-18H daily report that I received at 6 a.m. today, February 1st, and I will create a new daily and cost report for February 2nd at 6 a.m. So for the example, I'll pretend as though it's 6 a.m. on February 2nd and I'm reporting on the last 24 hours activity. Okay, February 2nd, 6 a.m. I click on the Daily tab down here at the bottom, hold down the Control button on my keyboard, click on the Cost tab. Now I can let go of the Control button, right click, move or copy, create a copy. OK. Now I need to rename these new duplicate sheets. I can do so by double clicking on the tab, deleting the extra text at the end, giving it today's date, and pressing enter. Doing the exact same thing on the cost sheet, double click, delete extra text, today's date, enter. While I'm at it, I'll go ahead and revise the date at the header for this cost sheet, February 2nd. Now it's day 50, just 1 plus the last day. Go to the Daily tab, or Daily sheet, same thing. Date, February 2nd, because in this example, remember, it's February 2nd at 6 a.m. reporting on the last 24 hours of operations. Still report number 1 because it's a continuous activity. I'm still on the initial operation. I'm still on the initial completion operation, so still report number 1. Okay, now let's get into the actual activity for the day. It's February 2nd at 6 a.m., so I'm going to report on activity from 6 a.m. on February 1st right up to, February 1st, right up to 6 a.m. on February 2nd. That's 24 hours, so that's all correct. These are the dates column. This is the time column. This is the number of hours column. Okay, so what happened in the last 24 hours leading up to 6 a.m. on February 2nd? Well, for illustrative purposes, let's just make this say 902. Let's change chlorides for this example, and casing pressure. Sure. Okay, that's what I did the last 24 hours. But let's say I didn't have 24-hour operations. I only had 12-hour operations. Let's say I started working in the morning, 6 a.m., finished working by 6 p.m. and went home for the night. I still come back the next morning at 6 a.m. February 2nd and report on what I did the last 24 hours, but I only worked for 12 hours. So how do I show that? Well, I started work yesterday at 6 a.m. Okay, I finished work yesterday at 6 p.m. February 1st, 6 o'clock p.m. That's 12 hours of work, so 12. Okay, and I can see down here that adds up to 12, so that's right. So I worked for 12 hours yesterday. I still waited until 6 a.m. to report on it, but at 6 a.m. February 2nd, I reported on 12 hours of work yesterday. And for this example, let's say that I rigged down Fesco and shut in for night. Okay, so this is just an example. I worked for 12 hours, I had a half day, that's what we did. Now I can work on costs. Now this is very important, and it's actually a very simple process if done correctly. If done incorrectly, it can result in hundreds of thousands of dollars in errors on reporting our costs. So to do it correctly, I keep in mind that what I'm looking at right now is the cost sheet from February 1. It's just a duplicate. All I did is I changed the header, date, and day. So to make things really easy, I can just copy this cumulative column. I just click and hold down, go all the way down as far as I can go until I reach this total completion cost. I right click, click on copy, right click right underneath this previous, which means previous cumulative, and then paste special, this paste values right here, paste values, click. So what that did is it pasted the actual raw numbers from the day before. It didn't paste over any formatting. You notice how it used to be red, now it's black. It didn't paste over any formulas. You see how this is a formula, now it's just a hard number. So I've now locked in and hard coded in yesterday's previous cum, and now I'm done with that. I don't touch previous cum anymore because I'm not traveling back in time and changing costs. Previous cum is previous cum, copy, paste, done. Okay, I did it for all that. I gotta do the same steps for rental tools. Down at the bottom, rental tools, highlight the whole column for rentals, copy, click right underneath the previous, paste. Great, I'm done with rental tools. Okay, it's a new day. I'm reporting on a new 24-hour period, even if I only worked for 12 hours. Let's say that I released the BOP first thing yesterday morning, so I can make that 0. Let's say I released half the frac tanks. Okay, 300 bucks. Here's the new daily rental cost right here, 2,050 bucks. It adds to the previous day's cumulative for rental to get today's cumulative rental. Today and 95,902. It doesn't match rental tools right here. That's because I haven't updated my daily cost for rentals yet. Okay, rental cost for the last 24 hours equals 2,050 bucks. 2,050. Enter. Now 95,902 matches down here. 95,902. Great, everything's working perfect. So what's very important here is that if I ever want to indicate any kind of new cost from the last 24 hours or any kind of new cost period when I'm doing my morning report, I do so only in this daily column. This daily column right here and this daily column right here for rental tools. I'm not going back in time and changing the previous cum. I can't do that. I'm not going in here and editing these red cumulative numbers. Everything that's red is a formula. So when I say formula, I mean, okay, click on a number, come up here to the top, see this gibberish up here, this formula? That means if I type in a different number into this cell, it's going to completely eradicate that formula and will always be in error from now on. So instead, I don't touch any of the red numbers except to copy and paste them, and I only make edits in this daily column to indicate a new cost or a change in cost from the past 24 hours. Okay, so I did rentals. Daily rental 2050 for a cube of 95,902. 2050, 95,902. That's great. Fesco recorder. In this example that we're doing, we just had a half a day because we rigged down the Fesco, for example. So I'm just going to make this cost half for the day's cost. Hauling flowback water, that's probably going to be a different cost for the day. Let's say now it's $1,600 in the last 24 hours hauling flowback. So those are my new costs from the last 24 hours that I've typed into the daily column. They automatically updated these cumulative costs here, these red numbers, because it took yesterday's cum that I just pasted in and did not edit, today's daily to equal today's cum. And now I'm done with costs. That's it. Simple as that. I need to take these two numbers, the daily cost and the cumulative, and put it back on my daily sheet. Okay, so the daily cost, 5,400. Go to the daily sheet, type in 5,400, the daily completion cost. Okay, I still need cumulative completion cost. What was it? 15,27,278. Okay, 15,27,278. Alright, error check time. I'm going to go back to the previous daily report. Cumulative cost, 15,21,878. 1,521,878. Plus today's daily of 5,400. Yeah, that sounds right. Should equal about 15,27,278. If I ever look at the previous day's cum, add today's daily, and it doesn't equal today's cum, then there's something wrong and it must be fixed. Same thing if I look in the cost sheet. In fact, it might even be easier in the cost sheet, because here I can see it all in one place. I can see yesterday's cum, in this previous column, add today's daily to see the new cum. Now, yesterday's cum better equal what I have listed for the cum the day before. 1521.878, 1521.878. Perfect. No errors. I'm done. So I can save this report now. I've done the activity, I've done the cost, I've checked for errors, I've updated the dates. It's February 2nd, 6 a.m. Therefore, it says February 2nd. Boom, February 2nd. Right down here, right up here. I'm ready to save it. File. Save. All daily reports must have the file name, well name, daily report. In this example, Holcomb 3-18H, daily report. Not copy of Holcomb 318H, none of that stuff. No copy of, no to, no nothing. Just Holcomb 318H, daily report. I've saved this to my desktop for this example, that way you can see the icon. See over here on the left? That's what I just saved. Now, before I actually email this file is now huge. It's 1.8 megabytes. That is way too big to be emailing around. Why is it so big? Because it goes right through today, all the way back, starting in December 14. So of course it's going to be a huge file. So we're adding one step here, but it should be really easy. I'm going to go to File, Save As, so I can give it a new name. I'll keep the same file name with one slight change. Space, February 2nd, 2011. I've just added today's date. Saved. Now you'll see a second file come up here. So now I have two files. One that I was just working on, the one that I just saved. So now see the one that I'm in right now? It says Holcomb 318H Daily Report, February 2nd, 2011. New file name, because it's a new file. So all the work that I did is now saved and locked up in this Holcomb 318H Daily Report. I don't have to worry about losing any data now. But to make this file smaller, I'm going to use the one that I just made with today's date and delete all the previous days to make the file smaller. To do that, very simple. Click on the previous day, daily. Hold down the Shift button on your keyboard. Press this little fast forward button, or this arrow with the line in front of it. Takes you back to the beginning of time. Still holding down Shift. Press the very first date. Now see how everything's white? That means it's all selected. Right click, delete, confirm, yes, delete. Now all I have is today's daily and today's cost, and deleted all the previous days, making this file much smaller and much more manageable. And it makes sense. This is a Holcomb 318H Daily Report, February 2, 11. Therefore, it should only have February 2, 11, because this is the report that I'm sending at 6 a.m. on February 2. Okay, I made a change, so I need to save it. Save. Okay. Now I just need to email it. Real simple. File, Save and Send, Send as attachment. Email pops up. It gives the file name for the subject. Very convenient, no more work required. I type in the people to whom I'm sending it. I'll just type in myself, so that way nobody gets this test email. And then I just click Send. And you'll also see that report was much smaller. This report is only 64 kilobytes. How do I know that? Because when I clicked to send the email, it shows me right here. Oh, 61 kilobytes, even smaller. So this file is only 61 kilobytes as opposed to 1.8 megabytes. And that's just because I did File, Save As, today's date and the file name, and then File, Save and Send, email. So that is the proper procedure for creating and sending any reports relating to completions, recompletions, and workovers. If you have any questions on any of this, then I would be happy to answer them.